task of the investigator has not been an easy one. On one hand, he is greeted by individuals who just saw Bigfoot and believes it. On the other, he is met with cries of derision and fakery. There is beginning to be a new line of thinking from the scientific community on this subject. Here is Dr. Grover Krantz, physical anthropologist at Washington State University, which explains his view.
As a physical anthropologist, I've decided that these creatures do, in all likelihood, exist. The evidence of the footprints is what I find the most convincing. This is an example of one footprint. This is a plaster cast, which shows a crippled individual. The foot was twisted, and two bulges appear, calloused structures on the outside edge of the foot, and correspond to gaps in the bones, which I've reconstructed here. If this was faked, the person doing it had to be an absolute expert in human anatomy.
Perhaps the most startling and far-reaching event in the recent history of Bigfoot hunting happened to a long-time investigator by the name of Roger Patterson. In October of 1967, he and a friend were in the Bluff Creek area of Northern California to investigate a reported sighting of two creatures. Suddenly his horse shied as a large creature stood erect from behind a log where it had been drinking from the creek. Patterson grabbed a 16-millimeter camera from the saddlebag and jumped from the back of the rearing horse to take the following pictures. Let's hear in Patterson's words exactly what happened that day.
As I walked across the sandbar, I was able to get some fairly good footage of it. It turned a couple of times and looked at us, and as it turned, it seemed to give me the impression that it didn't want anything to do with us. It didn't run, it didn't act scared, but yet it acted leery of us.
Patterson thought that he had proved once and for all that the creatures existed, but he found that even the film was in question. As a result, the footage was submitted to experts in various fields. Among them was Janis Prohaska. Active in the motion picture industry since 1939 as an impersonator of animals of the ape family, Mr. Prohaska was convinced that Roger Patterson had filmed a living, wild creature.
The movement is the only thing what throwed me a little bad, because he moved a little bit more like a man than an animal. Because you could see all the muscles on the body and the whole movement. It didn't move like a costume at all. And the size of it was enormous big size, so I don't know if they find a big man like that.
Mr. Prohaska, you mentioned that the creature did not move, as if it were a costume. Do you think it would be possible to create such a costume?
That would be a difficult... I don't think so. Because that costume, if it would be a costume, that would have taken such a long time to put the hair. You should put the hair by glue on. That would take about 10 hours, the whole makeup job. And it looked to me very, very real. I'm doing this since 1939, and if that was a costume, that was the best I have ever seen.
Ron Olson of the North American Wildlife Research Association has studied the Patterson footage as much as anyone. Ron, what did you see in this footage?
Well, this footage proved to me that these creatures are real and that they do exist.
Now, how tall would you estimate that one to be?
This creature was estimated by scientific methods to be about 7.5 to 8 feet tall. He was taking a stride of about 47 inches to 65. After he became spooked or more scared, he stretched to 65.
Now, how does the length of that stride compare to, well, let's say the average stride of a man?
Well, the average stride of a man is about, maximum stride of a man would be about 3 feet.
Now, that arm appears to be proportionately longer than, say, a human arm. Have there been any estimates worked out on that?
Yes, there has. The arm is, and always has been in all sightings, in all cases, definitely longer than a human's. Here the creature shows large pendulous breasts. The indication here, of course, is that it is a female creature.
Do you expect to capture one of these?
Well, this is, of course, our I suppose you'd call the finale of our whole program is to make a capture. We want to make a live capture, and with this, we are using tranquilizing equipment. We hope to bring one of these things in with a live capture, live and unharmed, to prove once and for all that this does exist. And since it does exist, maybe then there can be laws and things passed to protect these creatures so that they'll never become extinct.